they did a really interesting study on how to train soldiers, and it was based off of the fact that during it was some battle, I want to say it was a Civil War battle, but where they had to use rifles where you're putting up
with the bayonet.
Yeah. And what they found was that people were just loading their bayonet over and over again because that's all they had trained for. So since they'd trained so many repetitions of this, they would find a weapon that had been loaded like up to 10 times because that's all they could train for. And they noticed too that people were like, they didn't like killing people, so they would aim above the heads of people. And yeah, there's a wonderful book called On Killing. I can't remember who it's written by, but it talks about Pavlovian training of soldiers to ensure that they are able and well trained to shoot at human beings.
Maybe by telling them aim here, you won't hit them.
Well, that's when they started using human targets too. There was a big
human targets.
Pardon me, human-shaped targets.
Okay, right.
Yeah, you forgot that that Hunger Games part of American history?
I guess so.
The 80s was weird.
I don't know. Who was I just talking with about them? Someone was just telling me they're bringing. Oh, Johnny Mitchell was telling me that down in Mexico, like when they get pissed at someone and they just want to kill them, like the cartels, they'll bring them in onto one of their ranches and say, train their soldiers and say, all right, you're going to shoot him. And it's like a real.
God.
I know.
So that's the second generation of warfare. Third generation of warfare is quick maneuver warfare, hyper-industrialized, think the Blitzkrieg, and...
So tanks rolling over, air fire coming in.
Right.
But you're still in battalions,
Right.
Yeah.
And this is the last, hurrah of great power conflict was World War II. And then the Cold War comes out. The Cold War drops. Can't wait to find out what the next one is.
Wild album.
So the Cold War happens, and suddenly we have the nuclear bomb. We've got two nuclear-armed rivals, and nuclear proliferation is happening. And suddenly we realize, we can't fight wars like this because it will destroy the entire world. We have the concept of mutually assured destruction.
Yes.
And because of that, we still have to fight over resources and influence because we live in a world full of infinite appetites and finite resources. And so this turns into asymmetric warfare. This is the fourth generation of warfare. Asymmetric warfare, proxy wars, and insurgencies. So the global war on terror is sort of lumped within this fourth generation warfare.
A lot of paramilitary stuff, dropping small groups into zones, going door to door, all that. Yeah.
And now, fifth generation warfare. Fifth generation warfare has always sort of been a part of things, but the bar to entry for influencing your opponent is so much lower now. And what fifth generation warfare really is it's the cognitive realm. It is the gray zone conflict in your opponent's gray matter, right? The best ground that you can take in your opponent's sphere of influence is between the ears of their citizens.
Right. Ideological subversion.
They're so good at it.
They're great at it.
Yeah.
I've seen your comment sections.
That's right. Yeah. All these Russian bots hate me.
It's a lot more than Russia, bro. It's every country around the world doing this shit.
Nobody likes me. I'm so polite though.
Yeah.
But and actually, so I'm writing a big paper right now on
a paper.
Yeah, basically like the greatest hits of Russian, Iranian, and Chinese fifth generation warfare tactics.
All right, walk me through China's.
China is really interesting. So it is very platform based. So the TikTok, infiltrate the adversary with
titty videos for 9-year-olds, pretty much.
Specifically, titty videos for 9-year-olds. That's actually in a CCP document.
Yeah.
But one moment of this, one moment of this platform based incursion is when they were going to ban TikTok. You had literally people on TikTok, which I thought was hilarious, making TikTok videos of them saying goodbye to their Chinese spy. Have you seen those? And they would like learn a little bit of Chinese and say it into the camera,
like John Cena.
Right? Yeah, Comrade Cena.
See, he's on the team, everyone.
So look, I mean, this is wild. Like you have, like, good job. Like you have like the American citizenry saying, no, we want this Chinese program. And we also like are so aware that this is an infiltration tactic that we're learning enough Chinese to say goodbye to our like supposed Chinese spy. Like, and so that's one way that China does it. China has a fascinating capability for waging this gray zone warfare. So
I remember back in 2017, you know, Daryl Morey from the NBA.
No.
So he's the Sixers president and general manager now, but at the time he was the general manager of the Houston Rockets, and president, which is meaning he's making all basketball decisions, which is an era when they had James Harden and were really, really good. But most importantly, it's interesting that he was with the Houston Rockets because this is the franchise that had Yao Ming, the most famous Chinese basketball player of all time. So in China, they're huge. People are huge Rockets fans because Yao played for them. And so the NBA was doing like a preseason thing in China, and Daryl Morey simply tweeted out something for peace, free Hong Kong.
Oh.
And it was a fucking nuclear crisis when this happened. The NBA lost all their games in China for that year. You also you had like a lot of NBA coaches and players being asked about this, and they're like, "Yeah, nah, he shouldn't have said that." And it's like, my God, like we're sitting here talking about like Black Lives Matter and stuff, but they're doing genocide over there.
Right.
But y'all are making money, so you don't want to talk about this. So he was like persona non grata for a little while, and they had to like recover. They had to like play the dance with China for like a year. But I bring this up because when that happened, China obviously doesn't let in our companies, right? They don't let in Twitter. They don't let in Facebook. They don't let in Google, all these different American companies. But what they did is they had their hackers use VPNs to operate outside of their borders and send spam like fucking campaigns against Daryl Morey and against like the whole Hong Kong thing. And it was, I think the Wall Street Journal, if I remember correctly, back when this came out, did a big piece on it, breaking it down. And it's like, this is just one little event.
I've got another one for you, which is really so. And before we get into that, so like the Chinese doctrine has been this doctrine of what are called like the three warfares, and it's to win without fighting. And so psychological
fighters.
I'm sure they're great, but they're better at preserving their strength and making sure that they benefit massively from a functioning global economy.
Right.
Like, why go into a kinetic conflict when you can, quote unquote, win without fighting?
Yeah, I don't know any Chinese UFC fighters, come to think of it.
Actually, there was a thing about this.
Or boxers.
There was a thing about this Chinese UFC fighter going around China and like challenging these kung fu masters, and he was
they do have that. They're nice with that.
He was seen as being antithetical to the CCP and essentially like disgracing China by saying, hey, this very important cultural art form is not a superior fighting style. And I think he just got like absolutely contained by,
Like they whacked him?
No, I think he's still, you can find videos of him. It's really
Chinese UFC fighter?
Probably.
All right, let's see. Jiang Wei? Does that sound familiar?
It's been a while since I've been watching Chinese UFC guy. Sounds right.
All right, Chinese UFC fighter challenging Taekwondo guys?
No, Kung Fu.
Oh, same thing. All right.
That's Korean. You Neanderthal.
I once went to a Chinese restaurant and said, "Where the fuck are the spicy tuna rolls?" So you understand how cultured I am.
Again, like-
I had my Asian friends like apologizing to the waitress.
I'm really
I'm
glad.
like, I know Italian restaurants. I don't,
Really glad that we
All right.
both have intellectual, cultural blind spots, my man.
All right, so Zhu Zhidong, who gained widespread attention for his victories over various kung fu practitioners, including Tai Chi masters. Isn't that what I just said?
I know you said Taekwondo.
Oh, all
Yeah.
right.
For the
Close
record, a
enough.
Korean martial art.
And Wing Chun masters. Another notable case is the fight between Ding Hao, a self-proclaimed Wing Chun master, and Zhu Zhidong, which saw Ding Hao defeated in a short bout.
So
he's alive.
impact of the controversy. It sparked considerable debate in China, with some supporting his actions and others criticizing them. His actions led to controversy, with some claiming that he faced harassment and even violence from traditional martial arts practitioners, and also some reprisals from the government.
Right.
But
They're trying to not do like the hand-to-hand gun thing. They're trying to do like
the three warfares. So
Right.
the three warfares are psychological subversion, economic subversion, and then lawfare.
they're good at the economic subversion.
It's incredible. Like, I've studied the Belt and Road Initiative, which is China's play to organize the world into one economic system, which is done through these large investments in infrastructure projects, and oftentimes this leads to what's called like a debt trap, where they will loan a country the money and the expertise to build this infrastructure project on behalf of
It's loan sharking. They own them.
that is a better way to say that.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're seeing this in Kenya right now. There was a big controversy in Serbia because a Belt and Road Initiative infrastructure project fell down and killed some people, and that's why you had such big.
Serbia, Belt and Road. I'm gonna Google this.
Yeah,
Keep going.
you can also see the protests about it. So there's a infrastructure project that fell apart in Novi Sad, and it led to the largest protests in Serbian history since the end of Milosevic.
Oh shit, that's
Yeah.
a big deal. Okay, so the Novi Sad railway station canopy collapse in November. Oh, you're on it, Kat. Thanks. In November 2024, which killed 16 people, was a major event in Serbia that sparked widespread protests and raised questions about government corruption and the Belt and Road Initiative. The station, part of a larger BRI project, had been renovated recently, leading to accusations that the tragedy was a result of inadequate oversight and poor construction standards. The protests, fueled by dissatisfaction with government corruption, has grown in size and scope, demonstrating a broad range of discontent with the political system.
Well, and along with it, again, this sort of like goes to the platform question too. Along with the Belt and Road Initiative comes along with the Belt and Road Initiative comes a digital Belt and Road. Sometimes they call it the Digital Silk Road. So sometimes they call it the Digital Silk Road, and that has led to, again, these platforms that are being created for ostensibly the population that China is building infrastructure projects for, but that comes along with the Chinese surveillance infrastructure as well. In Serbia as well, their Digital Belt and Road Initiative in Belgrade, I want to say, they were going to start a safe cities program. And that was a sort of vaguely veiled way of saying that we're bringing Chinese-style surveillance into Serbia. So you can see that there was a lot of pushback from that. And I believe that type of surveillance is actually illegal in Serbian
How
law.
much do you know about the scope of Chinese surveillance?
Not much. I've been mostly studying, their influence on the American information space. The gong that I've been banging for, the last year is the fact that the United States doesn't have a stated public national security and national defense strategy for protecting the information space. So
Now, can you break down what the biggest red flags are there, what we're doing wrong?
Yeah, well, I think that to begin, we just need to have a strategy. So,
You think we got literally nothing?
well, if you look at the National Defense Strategy, the most recent one, and the National Security Strategy, National Security Strategy is put out by the White House, and the National Defense Strategy is put out by the Department of Defense.
What am I Googling? National Defense Strategy, White
Or
House?
or National Security Strategy. They're two different documents. But you'll see within that there are the major domains of the 2022 one is the newest one.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.